Overthinking is costing you big time. Money, time, energy, opportunities, of course, even love, and perhaps even your friendships. This is today's topic, and of course I'm also giving you a way out. I'm giving you ways to deal with overthinking, and I will also explain where it comes from, all of that. But first things first, if you're new here, my name is Lydia Wilmsen. I'm a mindset and high performance coach, and here on the channel I speak about all things conscious creation, manifestation, business growth, personal development, the good stuff basically. And if you want coaching with me, if you want to see how we can work together, go to the description or to the first pinned comment and you will find all ways to work with me. The first most important one, of course, is the Mind Mastery community, which is very dear to my heart. We are growing constantly and we have amazing coaching calls. It's the most affordable way to basically get one-to-one coaching from me in a group setting. And it's just plainly amazing. There are other people in there who are ready for growth, who are ready also for conscious creation and manifestation, not just the normal strategy stuff out there. So it's a powerful group. Check it all out in the comments or in the description. And please leave a like, a share, subscribe to my channel. It all helps us to grow here because I feel there is not a lot of information out there that really combines the two worlds, the worlds of conscious creation and the world of strategy and real 3D life, physical reality life, so to say. And I go into everything with a lot of depth. So that would help me tremendously and other people out there. So let's go into that topic today. Let's go into the topic of overthinking. And in general, this is part of the energy leak series. So I'm speaking about of many different energy leaks. They are all in one playlist, so you can go through them and check them all out. Different energy leaks. It might be really interesting for you, especially if you feel constantly drained, exhausted, and also kind of unhappy, unfulfilled because you feel you're giving so much. You're showing up for other people, you're showing up for your business, but you don't get the results necessarily. You don't get the energy back. You don't get other people showing up for you like that. There is a mismatch and you can really feel it in your bones, and it will be interesting for you to really reflect a little bit on what's going on here and make the changes, and the changes start in you. That is the main conscious creation manifestation principles. You don't have to wait for others to change. You can change in you how you see other people, how you see your environment, how you see yourself, and those inner changes then will be reflected back to you. That is the real power of the work we do here. You change and the outer reality around you starts changing as well. But if you keep waiting for the outer reality to change, and hey, by the way, we all fall into this pattern. If you wait for that, you will wait forever because your pattern then is I'm waiting. So your reality will reflect to you waiting, more waiting. Here you go. You can wait even a bit longer. So you have to understand when you start doing the work internally, when you start shifting, your outer reality has to reflect that and will reflect that. So now, when it comes to overthinking, why is this such a big energy leak? I was talking about that in one of the previous videos where I was speaking about being in two different realities at the same time. So the old reality commands your intention and takes your energy, and the new reality takes your energy. So your energy goes into two directions. You are utterly depleted, but you find yourself in the very same spot because you're being drawn into this direction and this direction. So where do you stay? Exactly where you are. But you are spending all your energy almost like double, you know? So you can go to that video. I will also link it in the description so you can check it out. It's really like living in two realities, and overthinking is similar to that. Mentally, you are going into many different scenarios. You are usually not overthinking the powerful positive reality or the powerful new reality that you want to create, because that we wouldn't call overthinking. That we would call something like dreaming, daydreaming, visualizing, you know? So it wouldn't necessarily be called overthinking. Overthinking usually is used as a word to describe those thoughts of like fear-based thoughts, worries, doubts, all those things, you know, like this is what usually happens when you're overthinking. You're going into worry scenarios. You're going into scenarios of what if it doesn't work, or what if it really becomes the worst scenario. Or what if this is really not meant to be? Or what if it's better for someone else? Like you go into those scenarios, and this is then overthinking. You're preparing for the worst. You're not preparing for the best. When we do that, we would never call that overthinking. We would call this daydreaming. We would call this positive expectations. We would call this, what would we call this? Just happy thoughts, but never overthinking. Like overthinking always comes with a touch of like something negative, like something burdensome. Overthinking comes from an energy of burden, of like draining. It's draining me, it's heavy, I can't stop it, it's controlling me, versus I am controlling it. And when we are living in our dream reality and we are using our thoughts to catapult us into this dream reality and experience it internally, and when we visualize about it, then we go, like we have uplifting thoughts with that, because we are feeling into the energy of what we want to experience. So of course that is amazing, So we would never call it overthinking, because it doesn't have this negative vibe with it. So overthinking usually comes from your old reality. It comes from fear-based thoughts. It comes from a fear-based reality. It comes from your old identity. So you're being pulled back into the old scenarios, into the what if it doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? What if something else happens and I'm out the window, or something like that? It comes from worry, from doubt, from lack. This is what we would call overthinking. And this is what needs to change, because again, it keeps you hooked in your old reality. It keeps you hooked in your old identity, and it keeps bringing you back the old. So basically, this is what we have to stop. We have to stop those loops, and it's very important that you get the difference, because you could be thinking like, oh, all those thoughts are coming from me thinking about the new scenario. It's my intuition guiding me towards whatever. But I can tell you, if you follow intuitive, if you follow intuitive nudges, you don't overthink. This is aligned action, intuitive action, and it happens without thinking usually. It comes from a new identity, and you just do the things. You're not contemplating them necessarily. You're not overthinking them. You're thinking about something, and then you feel the pull to do it from your new identity, and you will just do it. You will not overthink it. So overthinking per se already comes from less than aligned action, rather misaligned action. Like when you have to think too long about something, then it shows already it's not necessarily aligned action, or it is aligned action but doubt creeps in, fear creeps in, and then you start thinking about it. So usually aligned action would be something where you don't think about it, or you think about it and you just think like, hey, cool, let's do it, and you do it. It just happens, and almost like later on you become aware of, oh, I just did it, it just happened. So everything that comes with a lot of thought loops, a lot of thinking, usually stems from the old identity, from fears and worries that your old identity is throwing at you to keep you safe and stable, rooted in the old identity, so that you do not go into the new identity, that you do not go into the new reality. Why? Because it wants to keep you safe. You have to understand this. I keep repeating this, and I think it's important. Your old identity, your ego, your old programmed self is not bad. It's not evil. It wants the best for you. It wants what it itself deems as safe, because it's familiar and it knows you have survived so far. So everything we did so far kept you safe, kept you alive. This is the only goal it has. So now when you're coming up with very new crazy ideas and like, oh my God, let's do this, new identity, new thoughts, new behavior, then the old identity is like, toot, 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 danger, danger. Something new is happening. We don't know if we are going to survive this. We don't know if we are going to stay alive if we do that, because we don't have evidence of that. So we rather not do that. We rather stay put. We rather keep doing what we have always been doing. So it brings you back to your old patterns to make you stay alive. So in those moments, you just have to understand the mechanism. You have to understand it's not my new identity speaking, it's my old identity speaking, wanting to keep me safe. But I know, because I'm a conscious creator and I'm actually a smart person, I know if I go out there, I'm not going to be killed. Like if I now make this, do this new behavior, I approach a person, I pitch like a really big new idea to someone, I'm going to survive this. So you can keep yourself safe. You can create safety consciously in the beginning in a new pattern, in a new behavior. And I teach a lot of like EMDR, and that's a powerful, powerful tool to actually also create safety and expansion. And I will share a little bit about this later. So again, where does overthinking come from? It comes from your old identity sneaking in, wanting to bring you back to the old, to the familiar, to the known, to the safe place where it knew that you survived, and that is its only goal. Now you wanting to expand, you have to create safety for that. You have to create new familiarity with that, but you have to do this consciously. You can't give in to the old story that of course doesn't know all of that yet. You have to stay aligned with that new identity, and in the beginning really practice that. It's not going to come by itself. It's not just going to happen by itself over time. No, you have to practice it. You have to consciously practice it, and there are also somatic tools that will help you do that. And what happens with overthinking also then is it wants to talk you out of the new thoughts or out of the new things that you want to do. So it brings, as I said, all the fear and worry and doubt and all your old thoughts, your old habitual ways of thinking. It brings all of that up to bring you back to your old identity. So usually it's very common thoughts. You can see that when you're wanting to do something new and see what thoughts are coming up, it's usually along the patterns that you're already used to. It's usually along the, yeah, but it has never worked, or perhaps I'm not made for that, or perhaps someone else is better. So it's usually the thoughts that you always have in scenarios where it's about expansion. And they are different for each person because all of us have different patterns, different ways of growing up. For some people, it's the fear of visibility. For other people, it's the fear of what if everything becomes so good? I cannot hold so much happiness and goodness in my life. I have to collapse back to struggle and stress and fear and poverty because I just can't feel those feelings, those emotions, those sensations in my body are too strong. So they are fundamentally different, those patterns, and you have to figure out, it's way easier with a coach, what your patterns are. So it's the generic, the generic sayings out there like, oh, it's probably just because you don't feel good enough. Yes, it is a very common thread, but it can be something different for you. And this is what you will have to tackle. This is what you will have to do when those old voices show up, and they will guide you. They will show you what your patterns are. And often they are also your blind spots. This is why it's amazing to have a coach, because they will help you in those moments to really understand your blind spots. You can want to manifest money all day long, but if you don't understand what part of your identity doesn't want you there. So in my story, for example, I grew up in a cult. You know that if you have listened to my videos before. We had to give all our money to the bigger purpose, to the cult leaders, to the cult ideology. So my family never, like my close family, never had money. We never had money for the family. We don't own houses. We don't own anything. Everything was given away, and actually my father helped build a company that was sold for 100. He was a CEO for a long time of a company that was sold for 100 million euros. My father has nothing. So this shows, like it was all done through the higher ideology, for, of course, also through brainwashing. So this was the pattern in my family, and I made a lot of money, but I managed to always give it to other causes and not keep it with me. So the pattern was, for me, the pattern wasn't even about making a lot of money. For me, it was to learn to be safe with money in my surroundings and to keep it and to grow it for myself, not to give it away to all the other causes and stay poor again. So, but for other people, it can be very different patterns. They don't have to be my patterns, because not everyone grew up in a cult. Not everyone had this story. For other people, I know one of my clients had something like her father gambled hundreds of thousands away. So she was actually very afraid of making bigger sums of money, because there was the fear, I'm going to lose all of that money through some kind of gambling, not necessarily proper gambling, but some kind of, like, oh my God, I'm going to get rid of it, so I better not make a lot. And we had to get through that. So you see, the roots are so different. So if you just affirm for like, I'm so rich, I make so much money. If you don't go to the deep the deeper self-identity, the deeper self-concept, the identity pieces, the core of your identity, and change those and shift those in you, you can affirm for money your whole life, because the deeper core patterns are still active and they overrule the more superficial I have so much money. Because you say like, oh, I have so much money, but internally you say it's not safe, it's not safe, it's not safe. Subconsciously you say it's not safe, it's not safe. It was always gambled in my family, I will gamble it. Or we always had to give it away to other people. There is never money for my own family. And I recreate that same pattern, even though I say I make a lot of money or whatever, you know? So you have to go to those core beliefs and figure them out. And the best is obviously with help from a coach there, you know, some kind of mentor. And I already said that. It's, again, to overthinking. It's the voice of fear. It's the voice of doubt, of worry. And it seems like reasoning. It seems logical and analytical, but it's the opposite of magic. And when we work with conscious creation, when we work with manifestation, we go into the impossible realms. We go into the realms of the non-linear, where you can be poor today and make 80,000 tomorrow. And this happened with one of my clients. He wasn't poor, but he was in poverty mindset. He was very afraid always of not having enough money, even though he had enough money to basically not work on a lower level for 2 years. Like, not have a lot of money, but he was comfortable to not work for 2 years. But he was always in poverty, thinking of like, oh my God, what if I lose it? What if I don't have enough? What if I run out of money tomorrow? And we worked on that, and from one day to the other, he generated 80K without working, like nothing. 80K, 80,000 euros. So that is probably $90,000 out of nothing in a matter of 1 day. So this is non-linear. This is magic, and it's not magic, it's conscious creation. It makes, in the end, a lot of sense once you understand the principles. But it's the non-linear. It's not this like, it's not the reasonable, what we talk about. So you have to understand your old thinking, the overthinking is the voice of reasoning, of the analytical mind, the voice of fear, of doubt, of your old identity, and you will have to overcome that to go into the voice of magic, of infinite possibilities, of the infinite realm of potentiality, because everything you could ever think of, even being a billionaire, trillionaire, whatever, is existent in non-manifested form as potentiality. And you can collapse the timelines and the current wavelength of what you have for like manifested in your physical reality, like in particle form. You can change that and collapse that into different particle form. But of course it takes work. It's not just like saying once like, hey, I'm a trillionaire now. You're like, what the heck? Yeah, and through all of that, through this overthinking, you're leaking massive amounts of energy. And you can keep doing that. Some people are actually, that's what they're comfortable with, leaking energy to other people, because this has been their status quo forever, but it doesn't have to be that way anymore. And if you're the person who says, I want to change that, then we can change that. So how? What's the solution here with overthinking and ending the overthinking and using your thoughts for the good stuff in your life and creating the good stuff in your life, and also using that energy now to create what you want, instead of leaking it and being like a bottomless pit where you leak energy every single day and you're wondering like, why the heck am I so drained? Why don't I have the money? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? And like, what's going on? So of course, first thing is a good mental diet. When those overthinking thoughts or those overthoughts, when the overthinking happens, that you directly understand quicker and quicker, oh, that's my old way. That's my old identity speaking. So I don't have to listen to that anymore. I don't have to go through all those loops anymore. I don't have to think them to the end anymore. I can understand that this is my old reality. This is my old identity, and I can stop it there. I can observe it and say like, I do not identify with that anymore. I had an event happening this weekend where I was really caught by my old identity of putting myself second, third, or even last. That has been a pattern of my life. I wouldn't put myself first. I would put, like, if something happened, I would always say like, okay, you go, you take it, whatever, you know, it's not meant for me, you know? And I saw this happening. I even felt the emotions of that old way of being. And I consciously decided, no, I see it, I feel it, I will do a little bit of EMDR with that, and then I know it's my old identity. It's uncomfortable in that moment. I want to go back there and live there in those sad thoughts, in that sad story, in the self-pity. And I was like, no, okay. And then I said like, no, it can still change. It can be different. Even though I don't believe it right now because I'm really stuck in my old identity, I did that. And kid you not, 3 or 5 minutes later, the whole situation changed. The whole scenario changed into the way that I actually had thought about for like 2 seconds. Like, this is how I would want it to be. This would be amazing. And okay, whatever, I let go. In a matter of 3 or 5 minutes, the whole scenario changed into my desired reality in that moment. But it was because I didn't give in to the old story. I didn't give in to that. I saw it happening. I observed it. I felt it. I felt all the old shit. It was like, okay, I feel it and I don't identify with that anymore. It's happening and I don't identify with it anymore. And then everything shifted in a matter of 3 minutes. So, good mental diet is to observe those thoughts, become aware of it, and not go there. Not go there, not live there anymore. See it and don't identify with it anymore. Feel it through like I did, but don't make it your emotional home anymore. And then, of course, release those old fears, those old parts of your identity that show up in those moments. And I teach a very powerful EMDR process with that, and it's part of my Mind Mastery community, because I want to guide you if some things show up. So I'm not making this public because I want to help you. I see myself responsible there if I put those things out, and I want to see what happens for you. And if something is happening that doesn't feel comfortable, I want you to be able to approach me and say like, what's happening here? Can you guide me? So it's part of my conscious creation community, the Mind Mastery community. EMDR is eye movement desensitization. I hope I said it correctly. It's such a complicated word, especially in English. Reprocessing. Basically, it uses the eye movement or the bilateral stimulation that we also have at night in REM sleep, rapid eye movement, when the eyes go very quickly. And it's a trauma therapy tool that has been, I think, founded or developed or whatever by Shapiro. And it is basically using what you use in sleep to process what has happened throughout the day or what has been triggering you. It is now in a formal way that you can use it awake and conscious instead of asleep and unconscious, so to say. And I do it differently. I even have training in that. So I'm a certified wingwave coach, which uses EMDR processes like the bilateral stimulation, NLP methods, and a muscle test. So it's almost like a further development of EMDR. So I'm a certified wingwave therapist, so to say. And I have been inventing my own way of doing this by yourself. So you don't go and you don't have to see me in person anymore and do that with me. And actually, it is very much faster than having to go and have a full 1 hour session once per week. The way how I teach it, you can literally change your life in a matter of months, but change everything in your life, not just one area of your life. I have seen it happen in my life. I'm a very different person than just 8 months ago. I'm literally a different version of myself. And I see it with many of my clients who really implement that, who really start using those processes that I guide them through. And with that process, you can basically release, no, it's not just one process. With that tool, you can release all this overthinking, like the base of the overthinking, the fear, the thoughts, the worry, the old identity. It's really releasing and reprocessing that. And it helps you because it shifts the brain structure. It shifts where certain memories are stored. They are not stored in the emotional brain, but in the neocortex, whatever. I have to write down this word. I have it in German right now. Großhirnrinde in German. So it's basically an outer part like in your brain. It's being moved. So what happens is if the memory or the trigger is not in your emotional brain anymore, it doesn't trigger you anymore. You don't have an emotional reaction with it anymore. It's just a memory. It's like it's just remembering a movie, but it has no emotional reaction to it anymore. Or you don't have any emotional reaction to it anymore. And you will feel that. It's almost like when you When you remember something where someone like something came into your face, you know, like something, I don't know, someone something really, what is this, like shocked you, you know, like in your face, and you have this, like, you still have this reaction in your body. And then later on, you can just remember, oh, someone came around the corner and did like boo, but you have no reaction anymore. You're just like, oh, that was funny, you know? Or perhaps if you're someone who has fear of heights, you can use it for that, by the way, fear of heights. You are highly stressed, even thinking about a plane and getting into the plane, and like, oh, it's very active. And now, when you reprocess that, one thing is you don't have a fear of flying anymore, fear of heights or whatever it is. And when you think about it, you don't have an emotional reaction. You feel calm, you feel grounded. There is no stress in your body. There is no trigger. There is no anxiety, nothing. So this is what it does. So release the fear, the doubt, the worry through EMDR and some other processes that I teach. And then I want you to go into like a full body experience, a very sensational or a sensory is the right word, sensory experience of the new reality that you want. So if you're going into overthinking, like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? What if I'm still not good enough? What if this is all a scam? What if this doesn't work? What if blah, 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 blah. Now go into the positive scenario. What if it works? What if it works? What if I have the highest month of my entire career this month? And then start feeling into the full body sensation of that. Start releasing the tension and the contraction of like, what if it doesn't work, into like, what if it works? And go into a visualization, but not just a visualization in your mind, but a full body experience, and going into the expansion in your body and feel in a sensory way. Feel like daydream in a sensory way, you know, like feel the relief, feel the positive emotions that you want to feel with it. Also, you know, love, or if you make a lot of money, it's usually relief and safety. Feel so safe and grounded in your body. Whenever the tension comes in again, release it and open up. So it's work on a somatic level. It's work on your body level, so to say. That's another part of what helps you to change overthinking, because overthinking happens in your brain. You're just in your mind, you're not in your body. And first you can also just release the negative stored sensory input in your body, but bring it from your brain into your body. How does it feel in your body? When I'm overthinking, this is not going to work, how does it feel in my body? Oh, stress, tension. And then release that and go into the positive expansion mode in your body. So that's the difference. Bring it from overthinking mode. It stops here. Bring it into your whole body. And then again, process the thoughts and the emotions that come with the fears, but also with the positive. Because I said before, some of my clients and I as well, we had deep fear of the good things happen in our lives because we were used to struggle. We were used to stress in our bodies. That was familiar. That was the known. So our bodies, our whole identity was there, and we would always go back there. And it felt deeply uncomfortable to feel into deep ease, to feel into deep relaxation, to feel into love, to feel into relief. So this is what needed to be processed as well. Not just the negatives, the hooks from the old story. No, also the fear of the new story, the fear of the unknown. Making that the new, the big story, the expansion, deeply familiar, deeply safe in our body. Increase your energetic capacity to just receive so much more. And for that, I also teach somatic tools in EMDR, and it's highly, highly, highly recommended. Okay, but understand, overthinking you is costing you everything. It doesn't help you because it comes from your old identity. What it does, it keeps you where you have always been. If you're happy where you are, keep overthinking because it just stabilizes you where you are. If you want to go somewhere else, if you want to experience something else, you will have to go way beyond that, and you will have to take care of your mental diet. You will have to release the fear and the doubts and really stabilize yourself mentally, energetically, and emotionally in the new story. Yeah, that's today's topic, today's energy leak explained. If you have any questions, put it into the comments. If you say like, yes, I'm ready, I'm doing this, also put it into the comments, almost like commitment. And if you want to work on that and learn the tools that I'm talking about, check out the Mind Mastery community and join us. We have the next coaching call tomorrow evening, Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central European time. So in the US, it's usually somewhere in the mornings. Go and join us. And I would say that's it for today. Thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, and until the next video. Bye.